Hey gorgeous, it's Ker-leen. Thank you so much for tuning back into my channel. Today I am back with a comparison video between all of the dupe fragrances that I have for Bianco Latte by Giardini di Toscana. Today I'll be talking about how close these dupes get to the original. I'll also be sharing a bit about their performance as well. If you're interested in hearing how close these inspired fragrances get, then please keep watching. Hey friend, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me for another video. Before we jump in today, I want to say hi to those of you who are new here. Thank you for clicking on that thumbnail. I'm so glad you're here. On this channel, I talk luxury, I do review videos, I share my fragrance journey, and I also sprinkle in a little bit of lifestyle here and there. So if any of those things pique your interest, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and also be sure to turn on that notification bell so you know exactly when my videos drop. All right, let's get into it. So in today's video, I will be sharing my thoughts on all three of the dupe fragrances that I have. I'll be sharing my thoughts on Lattafa Eclair, Paris Corner's Taskeen Caramel Cascade, and Hekkayat Attar's Latte Abyad. A very special thank you to my fragrance friend here, Monique. Thank you for sharing your fragrance with me and sending me this sample of Bianco Latte. I'm super grateful. I started this comparison after I picked up the third fragrance in this video, Latte Abyad, and the other two I've been experiencing for months now. So let's talk. I'm gonna start out by spraying each of the fragrances out on a tester card just to refresh my memory. I'm going to start out with a sample of Bianco Latte, the original. So let's first talk about Taskeen Caramel Cascade. This was the first fragrance that I picked up, and when I first received this, I was super happy with this. This definitely reminded me of Bianco Latte right away, and I was super duper satisfied with my purchase. Several months later, maybe almost a year later now, this is absolutely amazing. It's settled down quite a bit. The musk has settled down quite a bit. It doesn't have as sharp of a musk as it did in the beginning, and the caramel scent in here has gotten even richer. So although caramel is a note that is in the original creation, I feel like this fragrance is the most caramel forward of the three. The caramel just really shines in this one. So now months later, when I first spray out Caramel Cascade, compared to the original, there's still a lot of like the alcohol. So I think that's one key difference between the inspired dupe version versus the original, is that when you first spray out the original, I didn't pick up any alcohol at first blast, but with Caramel Cascade, there's still a little bit of that alcohol at first blast. After the alcohol dissipates, then I start picking up on that caramel, that rich, sticky, super sweet caramel. When it comes to Caramel Cascade, I feel like compared to the original, it's almost as if it's purely caramel. It's a really caramel forward fragrance compared to the original. Bianco Latte is more of a milky caramel. Yep, as I'm kind of going back and forth, this compared to the OG is definitely more caramel centered. It makes the OG smell like more of a milky caramel type of fragrance. Now, when it comes to performance, this fragrance right here, now that I've had it for probably about a year, maybe over a year now, it is a room filler. When I put this on the other day, it filled up my entire living room area, and my kids were telling me how they could smell me all around the house. This is definitely a room filler. This one is also very long lasting. As far as that room filling projection and gorgeous sillage, I typically get that for around 4 hours, where it's still pretty much projecting wherever I walk. And if you're like within an arm's length distance from me, maybe more, you will definitely smell my fragrance about the 4-hour mark. But this one is a long lasting scent. It typically stays on my clothes anywhere from 8 to 10 hours, maybe even more. I think this one is very polarizing because a lot of you told told me you were picking up a burnt tire smell, like rotten eggs or rotten milk. If that's something you picked up in the beginning and it changed, let us know in the comment section. I would love to know how this fragrance developed if you ended up keeping it. But for me, I never picked up any of that. At the time, it was the closest thing I had ever smelled, and so to me, it smelled almost exactly like Bianco Latte. And I still do feel that way. I feel like if you have this in your collection, it definitely fills the space for a fragrance such as the original. So you don't necessarily have to pick up something else until you're almost done or done with your bottle, because since then, obviously, other dupes have come out that get even closer to the original. But if you have this and you're loving it, this definitely does the job. I'm still 100% happy with this fragrance, and it's gotten even sweeter, richer, and better performing with time. So this is Taskeen Caramel Cascade by Paris Corner. The next fragrance we're going to talk about today is Eclair by Lattafa. This is one that when I first picked it up, I was 100% sold on this one. I thought then, and still do think, that it smells almost exactly like the original. It's a very, very good dupe fragrance. So I've been testing it again, and I want to spray it and again do another side-by-side tester strip comparison together with my recollection now that I've been testing them side by side. Smelling the two of them side by side, so Bianco Latte and Eclair, it's not really a huge thing, but again, the dupe fragrance does give me like a blast of alcohol, whereas the original has no blast of alcohol when you first spray it out. It does dissipate quite quickly, but I just thought I should note that. So with Eclair, it's a lot harder to tell the difference on the tester card. So I'm gonna spray both of them on my forearms. Wow, so that really speaks to how close Eclair is to the original. So y'all, on my skin, really the biggest difference between Eclair and the original is that there's a subtle spice that is in the original that's not in Eclair. But they smell so close, so similar. Oh my goodness, it's so hard to tell the difference. The difference is what I think is the coumarin that is in the original. Outside of that, this dupe is spot on. It's a spot on dupe at an affordable price. So if you already have this fragrance, like I was saying earlier, you do not need to go and pick up another dupe until you need or want to, because this fills that spot, that Bianco Latte spot. So yeah, the coumarin really shines on skin. On clothes, in the air, it's a negligible difference. You won't be able to tell the difference, but on skin is where you can really pick up the coumarin that's in the original Bianco Latte. Whereas there is none of that, no spice in this inspired dupe fragrance. This also is subtly more milky on the skin than the original as well. Now that it's been a few minutes of this drying down on my forearm, I definitely pick up more of a milky tone from this fragrance than the original. So now for the last one, Latte Abyad by Hekkayat Attar. This is the newest one to my collection. This is less than a month old, and I have been enjoying it straight out of the box. But let's talk about what the differences are to my nose and just sort of my opinions on how this compares and holds up to the original. So with this one, again, you get like a blast of alcohol when you first spray it, which is different from the original. So let's give this one a few minutes to settle down a bit. I'm also going to spray this one on my hand. So what I think makes this fragrance the closest to the original is the addition of the coumarin, which I pick up right away on my skin. Yeah, so on skin, the coumarin really shines. This one, when compared to Caramel Cascade, is less caramel forward. Caramel is still the star of the show in this fragrance, but it's more of a condensed milk and caramel mixture, as opposed to Caramel Cascade, which is extremely caramel forward at this point, having had it for probably over a year now. As compared to Eclair, this one is definitely a lot less milky toned. Eclair is a little bit more of that condensed milk versus the caramel, whereas in here, It's almost as if the caramel and the condensed milk are 50-50, and then you have that coumarin, which is a little touch of like this earthy spice, and it's a very similar spice to the original Bianco Latte. That difference is really notable on skin, and I'm picking up a very similar spice with Bianco Latte on skin. All right, friend, so I hope that this video has been helpful to you. As I mentioned, in my opinion, all three of these fragrances are extremely similar to the original, and so if you have one, you don't need to run out and get the other. But if you want to try one of the other ones when you're almost done with your fragrance, then I say go for it. I most enjoy the newest one that I picked up, Hekkayat Attar's Latte Abyad. I cannot wait to see how that one macerates, but for now I am really enjoying it. None of these fragrances are as beast mode or big performers as the original. Eclair and Latte Abyad have similar performance. When I first picked up Eclair, I definitely got arm's length projection for both of them, and then they formed a scent bubble. I think both are extremely long lasting. I get about 6 to 8 hours on close for both Eclair and Latte Abyad. So again, I cannot wait to see how Latte Abyad macerates, because I've had Eclair for several months now and it's giving me moderate projection, moderate sillage. It's like a moderate performer. So that's one of the biggest differences between all three. None of them performs as beastly as the original Bianco Latte. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button on your way out. If you love fragrance content, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and also be sure to turn on your notifications. And before I go, I just want to remind you that you are such a beautiful and unique light, and there is no one quite like you on the planet. So keep shining and keep being your beautiful and unique truest self. I will be over here doing the exact same thing. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one very soon. Mwah!